Hey there, boys and girls. Welcome to this week's episode of Hollow Weekly. Nick and George talking about the Invisible Man.
Invisible Man, which we just saw in the theater. So this is opening weekend, right?
Yeah. We saw it yesterday. Still letting it marinate. Dude, it's been like a rough kind of couple days because that movie was great. Not rough. I don't know why I said rough. We saw that movie, but I just have to get this out of here. I know someone needs to hear this. We finished Rapunzel's Tangled Adventure on Disney, the Disney Channel. They ended it after Rapunzel the movie. Then they did like a cartoon movie, and then 3 seasons, and then it's done. That's it.
I didn't even know that existed.
They've ended it, dude. And here's why I'll bring it up on Hollow Weekly. Here's my judgment before we get into Invisible Man. This is important. It's got a lot of cool monsters. And did you see Tangled?
No.
Well, her boyfriend, Flynn Rider, his dad is voiced by none other than Bruce Campbell.
Oh, Bruce.
And it's got some bitchin' songs, dude. Like, it has the evil version of, what was the Frozen song?
I wonder what he was up to.
Let
It Go?
Yeah, it's like they have like their version of the evil Let It Go, and it is awesome.
Bruce Campbell's version of Let It Go would be hilarious.
Okay, but I was about to like write the writers. I'm like, this show was great, so I figured I'll just get it out on here, throw on the Bruce Campbell thing, get it out of there.
They're definitely listening.
Okay,
Invisible Man. This is not a controversial movie. It's sitting at 90% on Rotten Tomatoes. So
that was shocking.
And we were talking about how there have been a lot of swings and misses in the last like year and change of horror, in terms of things you were excited about in the lead up to like Godzilla King of Monsters,
right,
and then not so excited about when you actually go see them. So this had a couple things for you. So first of all, I loved seeing it in IMAX, and I loved seeing the Quiet Place 2 trailer in IMAX, because I was not sold on Quiet Place 2 trailer when I originally saw it. Then I see it in IMAX, and I was like, okay,
dude, I've seen it so many times. Well, because we got that AMC pass. I think I've seen the Quiet Place trailer like 3 times in IMAX, and I'm kind of like, come on. And then they have like the 2 back-to-back Vin Diesel movies.
Oh yeah, that's a
God
lot of Vin Diesel. I wish he was invisible. So, what did you think of Invisible Man?
I saw. So we posted about it in the group, and I saw we had some conversation with one guy back and forth.
On the page, yep.
He didn't like the trailers, he asked if he should see the movie because the trailers looked whack.
Yes,
and I agree with him. I thought the trailer. I was not sold on the Invisible Man at first, and I remember I got online to play some games with my friends, and I was like, "What are you guys think of that Invisible Man trailer?" They're like, "The trailer kind of sucked," and
look. Can we back up and say what are you fighting for the original Invisible Man at all? Is that part of what's happening here?
No, it has nothing to do with that.
So you just didn't like the trailer because it was cold and sort of boring?
Yeah, it didn't seem like it just wasn't interesting. Like it just kind of seemed flat
compared to like the marketing behind some stuff lately. It didn't have a lot of. Yeah, right. It wasn't vibrant.
That's for sure. So it just kind of was flat for me, and like it didn't impress me. And like, it looked like it was going to be okay. Like I didn't think it was going to be a piece of shit.
Right.
But the movie itself was amazing.
Yeah.
And so I told the one guy in the group, like, hey, I agree with you. The trailers did nothing for me, but the movie just blew me out of the water. Did not expect it.
What about comparing? So you're a monster person.
Yeah.
You love monster movies, creature features. Invisible Man's tough. So the original one, his look was amazing. The Claude Rains bandages.
Dude, I was really hoping they were gonna do the bandage until you find out how he's doing it. I was really hoping for the bandage and the hat,
right? which was incredible. But I thought this was a really good way to visually present this now and have it be fun, right?
Yeah.
It sort of reminded me of what the new Child's Play reboot was doing.
Yeah. They kind of put the tech twist on it.
Yep.
Yeah. I've always it's weird because I always consider the Invisible Man, he's part of the monster universe, right? But I always feel like he's kind of the subcategory of subcategory of mad scientist, because that's kind of what they are. They take it too far.
Well, yeah, and there's no family, so there's no resurrected dead, werewolf, zombie, vampire. There's no family for the Invisible Man to be in. This movie felt a lot closer to Hollow Man than the Universal Invisible Man. Right?
Yeah. And that's a good thing because I love the shit out of Hollow. Man.
Right, exactly.
That was a great movie.
So I thought that this was a spectacular movie. I'm really high on it. I think it's even better than the 90% it's getting credit for right now, believe it or not. But I think we'll discover that over time. One of the things is it was really good to see a movie mess with an audience. I haven't seen that in a while.
Since like Paranormal Activity, yeah.
Right. So like our audience in the theater, it was packed and it was near packed in the
like
IMAX.
80%, yeah.
But they at the right parts, they were just shocked and stunned and gasping. And
it was a good audience.
Someone was having an out loud conversation with themselves the whole time.
That was
like,
yeah. Normally it's annoying, but like
no, but it was kind of great.
I was digging it. Yeah.
Right,
Normally I'd be like, "Oh, shut the fuck up!" But like this guy, like he enhanced it. I was like, "Keep going."
Yeah, because he was like really, you could tell he was really.
He was like the leader of the cinema. He was like, he would make an opinion. We're like, we agree.
He was calling it out for sure. But Elisabeth Moss makes this film, right? But nothing to take away. The director Lee Winnell did a great job, and all of that. I think the script has some weaknesses of anything. I think the script is probably the
there's a lot of like weird shit like we were talking about on the way back.
So we'll get to that in a bit. But Elisabeth Moss like makes this movie. It was weird because she had a little bit of Sarah Connor in her. She had a little bit of relentlessness in a tech setting. So like when she got away in the beginning of the movie, normally when someone's, sneaking around and trying to flee, you take that as they're retreating or they're, they got to get away. They're, it's hard to portray a character in full flight of retreat and make them seem strong. Mm-hmm. But the way she left felt strong.
Yeah.
Right? The way she left felt like thought through, planned out. She was a formidable character right from the jump, right? So like it's a weird trick to do that, right? To have a character get away from someone and seem stronger for it. So I thought it was really cool, really, really high level acting challenge to solve, which she knocked out of the park, like no doubt. So she did an amazing job.
That opening scene's like a little short film because like
amazing.
Everyone like was invested in her getting out. Like you just like meet her. Like you meet her waking up and then packing her shit and getting out, and everyone was like rooting for her to like escape. You don't know what the fuck this dude even did, but you're just like, you better get out.
Totally. And that's the thing is the attention to detail. Because let's be honest, the James Whale did the original Invisible Man. There is no director that was ever worked in the horror genre that's better than James Whale. There's equal to like Hitchcock's and like whatever, but I mean there's no one better than James Whale. So when you're doing something like this, you got to have really good attention to detail, right? Hollow Man had crap attention to detail. I'm not talking about plot holes. I'm talking about just like whatever payoffs for little things and visuals and all that stuff, right? It was just a fun ride, right?
Right.
But this one, like, think about this, the thing you just said, the scene you were talking about, when we meet her, she's laying in bed, she opens her eyes, she looks over, it's like 3 or 4 in the morning, whatever it is, right? And she's looking at a clock, and then she's in bed with this abusive boyfriend, not husband, right? I don't think they were married at that point, or maybe they were married. They must have been married because of the money. I don't know. They're in a relationship, right? So she's in bed with him, and then she lifts up the covers because she's trying to sneak out of bed and then do her arrangements to get out of the house, right? But when she lifts up the covers, the very first thing you see is this creepy guy. He's got his hand around her waist. And the first thing you see is this hand with just like this black background. Like you can't see anything else. It's just his hand emerging out of darkness, just hanging on to her, which is exactly his role in the entire film.
And she's like, ugh.
Right?
It's
going to be like that, right? So like literally the first time we met him, he doesn't say anything. He doesn't even move, and we already have character notes on him, right?
Yeah.
So just that kind of shit is like really well done. That stuff was great. What do you think of him as a monster? Let's do spoilers because there's gonna be a ton of spoilers here, guys. So just like deal with it.
Like
because there's a complexity of this monster. There's more than one.
Yeah, kind of. There's like a mastermind, kind of like a little Charles Manson-y kind of.
Yes,
right. People. As a villain, I saw like a lot of people talking like, I was looking in the corners when I went home and I couldn't sleep. That kind of shit. I didn't really feel that way because like I know that these floors creak Like I try to like get out of bed and like sneak out. I don't want to look like Alex, get coffee.
Right.
So I'm like tiptoeing like Tom and Jerry style, and like it's
Yeah.
creaking. So I know if the
feel
motherfucker's
safe.
in here.
Right.
Like I'll hear him. But I thought when we really got to see him as a villain is at the end when they go to have dinner, and I thought his acting at the end was awesome.
Totally.
Because he's this gaslighting, maniac,
Yep.
stalker asshole dude.
Yep.
But like he's fractured a little bit, like all that steam seeping out of him, and he's trying to keep it together.
Totally.
And he fucking can't. Even when he's talking to her, he's like choppy.
Yep.
And like it's just like glitchy. He's glitchy.
Totally.
And you could just see that like you could see him losing his control.
Yeah.
And he cannot fucking handle it.
Nope.
And that is like that's like the part of the mad scientist, like when they try to like defy God or whatever, and like they realize they can't, and like they're trying to come to defeat.
Totally.
He fucking nailed it. And honestly, like it looks like we're gonna get the Invisible Woman next, which is cool. But
Right.
or technically, you still get the son of the Invisible Man.
Could. Very, very.
That's a huge spoiler, but
okay. We warned him.
but as a monster, no, I thought he was great. And then him writing everything on saying surprise for some reason.
The surprise thing was a little overplayed, but I felt like they were trying to give almost all his punches for the movie had to be audio because you weren't seeing him.
Right. Yeah. And so I liked it. But as
But
I liked it. What about you?
I'm thinking of like the suit and him coming down the hall.
The suit was
and when
cool.
the suit was glitching out, and the way he was, when you did get to see him, the way he was killing people was almost sadistic. Like he was enjoying it, and he was trying to do it in ways that were demeaning to the people that he was bringing down. Right,
Mm-hmm.
which is what his character's all about. But even when he was taking on the security guards or the police or whatever the hell they were, he was taking them down in a way that was almost contemptuous.
Right.
Right. It was like the way he fought was like the way I imagine Mark Zuckerberg reacts when you pitch him like an app idea. Right. Like,
Right.
He just seemed like, oh, you guys are gonna try to fight me. That's cute, and then like whatever. So it was intimidating, and then visually the fact that he was glitching was cool because she had damaged him, right?
Right.
So he was all about tech perfection. Like everything was perfect. His house was perfect. His inventions were perfect. His clothes were perfect. The last thing he would want to tolerate is any kind of like flaw. This is not the kind of person who likes an ill-tied tie or like whatever, right? And when she was making his suit glitch, I think it was really messing with his head and making him angrier, which was great to watch him get agitated. So visually, I thought he was a cool monster when you got to see him.
He looked kind of alien with the because it was like
He did.
like looking like a bunch of eyeballs and all that other stuff.
Totally.
I thought it was cool. What did you think about like it being the bodysuit that made him invisible and not like some potion that like made his actual?
It was, I mean, you had to do that,
Yeah.
right? They made him an expert in optics, and it was genius, like the way they did it. And it was essential to the plot, considering that she needed access to the suit slash potion, right? And it would have been less dramatic if she could have just drank it instead of like hid it or snuck out with it like she does, right? So like all those things were just improvements, at least for what this is, right? I mean, I love the Universal Invisible Man. It's one of my favorite movies of all time, right? So like he was growing up, he was actually my favorite Universal monster of them all, except for maybe the Bride, right? So, you would think it would bother me, but I just thought the way they handled it was what the movie needed to do, and it knew that it needed to do it, so it did it.
Do you consider the shots that linger screen time for the Invisible Man?
Well, so you're right. There are a lot of shots of like halls and empty corners.
Shot so well, dude. It was like they took the POV from Halloween. They're like, well, how do we top that? Like, how do we take that to the next level?
Exactly.
And it went from like beautiful cinematography to potential POV, like every other shot.
Yep.
And then, people were like questioning like, where is he in the frame?
Yep.
But I started questioning, are we at his POV? Because I could never tell.
Right. And yeah, exactly. I think that the Halloween thing is a genius way to put it. And even more to the point was he seemed like he was always on the move to me. Mm-hmm. So I know that most people I talked to who saw the movie were talking about it in terms of Where was he in the frame? Because they were looking in a particular spot. Like, is he standing there? Is he standing there? I don't think he was standing at all. I think he was always on the move, which made it worse because that meant even if you caught him for a second in one part of the hallway, he wouldn't be there the next part, right? So that was he really understood how to use the invisibility. So this is one of the glories of this movie, right? So why make a movie like this, right? Why did they reboot Child's Play? Why did they redo Poltergeist? Why do you redo these movies? Why did they remake, Friday the 13th in 2009? So obviously cash. Right?
Cash flow,
right?
baby.
Cash flow. And obviously you want a modern, creators want to crack at the things they grew up with or like whatever and feel like I have an idea.
And you get to hold on to licensing.
But the best reason is that you have a fresh take on it. You have a way to turn it or twist it or make it original or, something like that. My favorite example of like Exorcist 3 is a sequel that exists because Exorcist is one of those movies that punches you in the gut and then leaves you feeling drained, right? So Exorcist 3 is literally the experience of feeling drained and older put on film, right? It's like whatever the emotional impact of watching the first Exorcist is, that's what Exorcist 3 is in its being, is depression, right? So they had a reason to do it. They nailed it, right? This one is interesting because the invisibility powers in every movie, including Hollow Man, have always been underused, right? So like you're invisible, that means the primary way they use it is that the Invisible Man can be present where you don't think he is and then spy on you and gain information about you and gain knowledge to use it, leverage against you and then to just sneak up on you and kill you or whatever. Like that's the threat is what I expected to see going into this movie was what is this Invisible Man going to do to bring down Elisabeth Moss's character, right? Like he could literally sneak in and kill her or, kick her ass or whatever. But the movie did two clever things. First of all, it made her the mother of his child. She's pregnant. So he can't kill her. He can harm her. He can beat her down. He can torture her, but he's not going to kill her because his son is his goal, right? Or presumably his son. And then the second thing, from his point of view, anyway, his son of a man. But the second thing is, that what this did was what was Lee Winnell's thought? His thought was, okay, with invisibility, what's my fresh take on it? So it's not that the Invisible Man can just sneak up on you and harm you. It's the framing mechanism. Mm-hmm. He can frame you. He can make it seem like you're doing the things. And no invisibility movie that I can think of has approached that, right? And it becomes glorious in the restaurant scene. That's the first full flower of realizing the implications of the Invisible Man just being able to like set you up, right?
Right.
So I thought I once that happened, first of all, I knew I was in good hands with the director, and second of all, do you want to pause? Because I don't know what that sound is either.
What is it?
It sounds like I don't even know where it's coming from, but it sounds almost like a smoke detector. Okay, cool.
Yeah, there's nothing we can do about that.
Don't matter.
Hold for whatever the fuck that is. I think some guy's mowing his grass.
It's all good.
Vacuuming his car.
Oh,
giving it the old industrial suck.
Speaking of suck. So anyway, the thing is that I thought it was glorious that they had a legitimate reason to make this movie. This was a new take on it, and the new take was the frame it, and I'm going to make a prediction now, and this could be totally wrong, but I'm just gonna go for it. We do this on dedicated Halloween Weekly episodes, but I'm going to randomly insert this one here. Trauma was the big horror theme of the last couple of years. Mm-hmm. I think it's at least in my mind, it's undoubted that it's a sure thing to me that the most influential thing Donald Trump has said as a politician ever is the fake news concept. It's spread everywhere. Everyone says it. I see it in news all across. Like if you read news from Saudi Arabia or Russia or whatever, they all are saying fake news. Like it's the thing that caught on the most, right? Because Make America Great is fine, but it literally is confined to a country. Fake news you can deploy everywhere, right? So it was his catchiest, thing. We're living in this era, and there's a reason for that. So I feel like the next genre is gaslighting. I feel like gaslighting is going to be its own genre, and we're going to get 2 years of glorious gaslighting movies, right? In terms of both drama and whatever, because I was like, what does this movie remind me of when I was watching it? And the weirdest thing was it reminded me of Fincher's Zodiac, which is one of my favorite modern movies. And it was because it had that like almost investigative pace, but Zodiac was slippery. As soon as you thought you knew a suspect or you were onto something, it shifted and you were like, wait, is this movie lying to me? Is that character lying to me?
Right.
Like it had that feel, So I think this is the inauguration of the modern gaslighting genre. Which is great because I love the movie Gaslight. It's from the 40s with Ingrid Bergman, and if we're come back around after 60 years,
rock and roll, Gaslight, baby,
right? It's gonna be interesting because it's hard to do in cinema, but that means that just the better directors are going to try to do it.
Yeah. What'd you think of the rest of the cast, other than the Invisible Man?
So I thought the actors were great. It reminded me a little bit of Dr. Sleep in terms of that I really cared about the characters and still felt they were a little generic.
Yeah.
Right, but I
didn't
cared.
want to die. Yeah.
Right. So but they were good for what they were doing. They just weren't given a lot to do. The movie was clearly Elisabeth Moss's to make work or not.
Right.
Right. And the cop character was good, but I mean the problem is most of the plot holes kind of fall on the other characters. The sister had to believe a stupid email.
Right.
The cop has to ignore evidence that's clearly in front of him. Right. Right. Like, so you're starting to judge the characters, but it's because of the script problems, not because of the actors. Right. I thought they were fine. But what'd you think of the actors?
No, I thought they were all great. Like it was like, usually with like some of the other side characters, like in a horror movie like this, you can sort of take them or leave them when they die. Yeah. But I thought their dynamic was really great because, like they were kind of taking care of each other and looking out for her and helping her out. And then, she was scratching their back when she got all the dough. And so I really liked their dynamic.
That was cool.
Yeah, there was just some of the stuff like, what's weird is like, I think this movie is like, for me personally, it's like 8 out of 10. Like if I had to give it like a personal, how much I love it, like an 8 out of 10. But there's still some like real goofy shit that kind of like goes unquestioned or unanswered. Like the fact that he had photos of his brother being murdered, and if he really was murdered, like there would have been police and like the coroner's office would have came and they would have bagged him and tagged him.
They staged that because they were working together. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but she could have looked it up.
Looked what up?
His death. You're telling me the dude's about to give you $4 million? You're gonna really Google him, make sure he's dead?
Of course he died. That's what happened. They made the arrangements. He's like a Mark Zuckerberg. How hard is it for that guy to figure it out?
Man, my mom and my friend would have Googled it and been like,
what do you Google? It wouldn't matter if you Googled it. It was online. They showed us the article. She did Google it.
He showed us a printout. Oh, wait, did she look it up?
She showed it on her phone. She handed her phone over to her, right?
Was that someone giving her? Oh, yeah, because it was like Visionary Boss.
Yeah,
he owns all of them.
He just faked his own death. That's all. Which is fine. I mean, he's a billionaire tech guy. Of course he can do that.
I would have been like, let me see them ashes like a box of Folgers.
I'm sure if she had asked to see the ashes, they would have been ashes.
There would have been some
they
homeless,
thought that through.
Some homeless guy.
They thought that through.
San Francisco.
They totally thought that through.
Okay.
There were definitely plot holes. Don't get me wrong. Like I thought the dog that I heard everyone complaining about online actually isn't a plot hole. The dog actually is an incredibly cool giveaway clue, right? The fact that the dog is just thriving at home by himself with no one apparently taking care of him is because there's someone at home taking care of him.
Right.
So that part was fine.
That's what I thought. I kind of figured that when the dog was there. I was like, because clearly the Invisible Man is fucking there.
Clearly, right. The funniest thing I heard was from Alex and Jenny on the way home, because we went to see this with our significant others, and they were like trying to puzzle out the transportation situation where the Invisible Man was driving from his mansion to God knows where in Southern California, which they were like, that would take hours and hours and hours.
Yeah, one of the comments I saw was like, "The Invisible Man brought to you by Lyft."
And the Uber driver thing was ridiculous, right?
Dude.
That was
That was like a $4,000 Uber ride.
well, the ride was one thing, but then the second thing was play this out. She goes to the house in the Uber. The Uber waits for her outside. Then she's sneaking around the house. Then he comes home to the house where she's playing cat and mouse with him, like whatever. But he clearly knows she's there because how did he not see the Uber in this driveway?
Right.
Right? Like, and how did he not kill the Uber driver or send him away?
All right, here's what I want you to know
Yes.
right now.
Are you doing the map of the Uber feed?
I'm doing the Lyft from our current location to San Francisco Airport, just to see. I don't know if it's gonna give me an actual.
It's probably not even gonna let you do it.
Yeah, it's probably gonna be like, "What the fuck is wrong with you?"
So, but anyway, you can find plot holes, and we said this online. You can find plot holes in any movie that deals with time travel, or invisibility, or superpowers, or things like that. There's plot holes in 2001: A Space Odyssey. If Kubrick couldn't do no plot holes for that kind of thing, then there's going to be plot holes in this thriller.
Was there anything in the movie that bothered you?
Yes, there were several things that bothered me. The email was the most egregious thing.
That was kind of whack.
That bothered me. The thing that the way I had to fight to sell it to myself, which already means that you're losing if you're the movie, where if I'm in my theater seat struggling to make sense of it, like whatever, I guess you could say that he'd lived with her long enough to be able to write in her style so that the email seemed believable, right? Because he was writing, presumably what he put in the email was all the stuff she secretly confessed, or he gathered how she feels about the sister over the years, and then he said it, and it's close to true.
So the sister would have known she was digging at.
So that the sister took it as real, right? It was still dumb, but it was fine because I heard people actually complaining about that scene and didn't know what it meant before, because I heard it before I watched the movie, and I thought it was going to be a bigger deal than it was. But she really gets right pretty fast. Like she comes, they reconcile as sisters pretty soon after.
Yeah, because her sister's like, "Yo, I'm gonna buy dinner," and she's like, "All right."
Right. Which leads to the best scene in the movie by far, which is the restaurant scene. The restaurant scene was spectacular, right?
The restaurant scene was the best. I think the paint scene comes in right behind it, because like the theater fucking lost it at that paint scene. Like Alex fucking like gave out
amazing,
like 2 screams.
Yep.
That was a 2 scream scene.
That was amazing.
But the restaurant scene was like the coolest fucking.
The restaurant scene was super cool, and what people are going to underplay about that scene, so they're going to love what the director did, as I do, and they're going to love what the Invisible Man did because they're horror fans, and it's a horror moment. It's a really memorable horror moment. But the reason that scene works is because Elisabeth Moss has conveyed so much emotional distress to us at that point that she's reaching for her last lifeline, and he is literally going to cut her last lifeline with a knife right in front of her, and then have the world think that she did it, which is the worst outcome, right? Not only are you now isolated, and not only are you now alone, and not only are you now framed, and not only is your life like ruined, but on top of that, everyone thinks it's you, right? Like it was literally the worst outcome. So it was pretty amazing how it was executed, but it was just we posted a picture from the scene on our Facebook page, and just the tension in her face, just from the screenshot.
Everyone says she looks like Jack Nicholson.
It's heart wrenching. Yeah,
she's got the eyebrows.
Right, exactly, which was incredible. So all of that worked amazing. The paint scene worked amazing. The whole setup to the paint scene, which is the attic part, was incredible.
That was really good.
The fact that the ladder, which was kind of like a weird, it was Elisabeth Moss's first, her character's first flare moment. Right. So like the Invisible Man gets all this flair, right? Yeah. He gets all these moments. She's struggling so hard. We don't get to see her have a lot of flair. She's afraid to even go outside and check the mail, right? When we meet her. But, the flair of, I want to give a running gift to this family that's been nice to me, but I'm going to fake him out and think that all I got him was a crappy ladder, was the first moment of like humor and practical joke stuff and like whatever, where you got to see that she had an interesting person buried inside of her under all the trauma and fear and stress, right?
Right.
So I thought that was really cool because she needs to make chess moves against the Invisible Man, and someone who's playing great chess has to have a great imagination.
Yeah, there was also a lot of ladders in this movie. It opens up with her grabbing a little step ladder.
Yep.
Then it goes to a wooden ladder.
Yep.
Then it goes to the big ladder.
Yep.
Then it goes to Jacob's ladder.
Well, what's the last shot of her?
Going up the stairs.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. I mean, this is literally, and it's funny because we saw Birds of Prey. We loved Birds of Prey, right? And
saw it twice.
And the thing was like the emancipation of Harley Quinn, but the idea behind it is it's like the rise of Harley Quinn, right? The true Harley Quinn. And we keep getting these pictures of female characters rising. So this happened in Shudder's Revenge that we loved so much.
That was
right?
a good movie.
So
best, I'm still saying it. Best. No, I said it when we reviewed it. Nothing's come close. Best use of gore.
Best use of gore.
Still.
But if you go back and you look at the final shots of Revenge and look at the final shots of this, they look very similar, and there's a reason they look.
The last shot of Harley Quinn because they're eating an egg sandwich.
They're telling the same sort of story, and then if you flip it, right? So what's the antithesis of Harley Quinn or Elisabeth Moss's character? It's the Joker, right? That's as opposite of these characters as you can get.
Yeah.
So what's the image of the Joker? Going downstairs, right? So like filmmakers are visually working this shit out. Like they know what they're doing, right? It's incumbent on us to catch it. So it's pretty cool how this ended because this was.
And the last thing you see of Invisible Man is he's going down to heck.
Indeed.
He's got his throat slit.
And that was another thing. So what was also really cool about that how that was executed, the ending now, is that he was making Elisabeth Moss's character feel crazy the whole time. Actually, both of them were, him and his brother, right?
His brother was the worst.
And we got to talk about the brother because I thought he was amazing. I thought he was
great.
I thought he was the
being
best actor in the movie.
Yeah.
But right,
Piece of shit. I'm mad.
Besides Elisabeth Moss, he like did so much with so little with that character. But anyway, we're here at the ending, and what's happening is, so what does the invisible? It seems like what the Invisible Man has is he has all the resources, right? He has the ability to invent crazy mad scientist shit, right? He's super smart in the way he can foresee what people are going to do and respond to what they're going to do in advance, and like whatever. He knows how to use the invisibility better than any character in that's ever used invisibility, at least for nefarious ends, right? So he has all these things on his side, all these resources on his side, and Elisabeth Moss seems to have nothing. But as we find out, she's super strong, which we saw from the opening. She also thought ahead. The way she escaped that was like step by step by step, right? Mm-hmm. And then she has the sense of humor, the practical joking of the latter thing. So she has the imagination to fake people out, which is where she's flexing those muscles, like whatever. But at the end, that's the first time. So we've been watching Elisabeth Moss act this whole movie, but we haven't watched her character act at all. Her character has worn her emotions on her sleeve the entire movie. When she's upset, she looks upset. When she's scared, she looks scared. When she's happy, she looks happy. That's all we have. The other people in this movie, when we meet them, right, they're acting like when the guy is like, I'm going to give you a whole bunch of money every month, because whatever. He's acting like he's on her side, but he's not, right? So like we're meeting all these characters who aren't what they seem, and she's totally what she seems the whole time. Until the end. In the end, she slits his throat, but he's dying. He's not dead yet. And then she leaves the security camera and her face changes like that, right? Like instantly. She's like, oh my God, 911. And then as soon as she gets out of the security camera line, her face goes completely cold. And it's the first time we're seeing her act the entire movie, right? So literally it's like she's telling him, I learned all of this from you, and now I'm better at it. Thank you. Die. Right? Which is such a cool way to end it.
And it gave. I like it when films like they give the audience information, and her putting the invisibility suit in the cabinet, and then her being like, "I'm gonna go clean myself up." I'm like, "Oh oh, she ain't gonna do that. She's gonna put on a suit. And you're gonna die. Like just knowing that that's what she was gonna do, and then her doing like it just met all the expectations, and then
what was cool was because also what the movie did was it gave us that moment where she hesitates in there. So she goes into the bathroom. She's like, I gotta clean myself up. And easily at that point, we could just go to the mayhem scene. Mm-hmm. Like literally she could disappear and then we could just be back with the guy and like whatever. But two things happened that were really cool. One was we got a moment where, I don't even know if it was hesitation, but we got a moment and she might have just been buying time to make it a plausible amount of time being in the bathroom. Who knows? Mm-hmm. But we cut to a shot of her just standing there in the mirror being thoughtful. And then we cut back to him and then she emerges, but we don't know it, and then she destroys him. So there was this moment where we spent time with her where she was just considering, right? Because the Invisible Man never considers. This idiot, all he wants to do is
hurt people.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So there was never, if you had cut to him in his private moment in the bathroom, like he'd have been there like checking his Apple Watch to he's not thinking about anything emotional, right?
Right.
But the second thing was we get the first amazing POV shot from a not Elisabeth Moss point of view. Did you catch that? Because when we go to the bathroom, and then we spend that hesitation moment, and then we cut back to him, and he's sitting at the table, and then we get the long shot. So it's him, and then it cuts from his eyes, and you're looking down this long table, down the long empty space behind the table, and it's the first time the camera gave us this, you better check for invisible people. But it doesn't make sense to us for a second because the Invisible Man is right there. Mm-hmm. Why are we checking for invisible people? And then we realize why we're checking for invisible people. But it gave us that long hallway shining twin shot right before all hell broke loose. But from his point of view. And I thought that was amazing that it did that. Really cool way to end it.
I like the movie.
Yeah, I think it's tremendous.
It's surprised the hell out of me. I really did not expect it from the trailers to be as good as it was.
Yeah,
it had no business being that great.
It was really, really good. And, the weird thing also is that I'm not the biggest fan of Upgrade, which is Lee Winnell's last one.
Yeah, a lot of people dug it.
Yeah, a lot of people liked it. And I thought that one, somehow the ending sort of ruined that one for me because it was unnecessarily hostile and cold, which I'm usually down for, but it just didn't feel right. This one was the perfect balance. That's the thing is I feel like he's grown. The fact that he did something as good as Upgrade and then grew from it is pretty amazing. That's a great sign. I'm excited to see what he does next.
So he signed a deal with, I think, like NBC Blumhouse or something like that. So, like,
then he's
you're going to be seeing a lot from him probably soon.
I'm all for it because he did an amazing job. All right. So let us know what you think of Invisible Man. Leave us a very good, positive,
don't leave an invisible review.
Don't leave an invisible.
Leave a very visible, the visible review.
I don't have that great of eyesight, so like sometimes I see less than what's there. So give us 7-star review.
7 stars. It'll look like 5,
and I'll be fine.
And then we'll feel good. And until next time, stay scary. Watch a bunch of horror movies.
Jumbie wants to be born now.